Graham Mack.
BBC Radio Merseyside.
It's Father's Day, and, you know, I'm pretty sure that my dad doesn't realise that he's the reason that I'm on BBC Radio Merseyside. The reason why I got into radio. He won't realise that because we're both very different. He's very practical. He's a man's man. He was a hard hat construction worker. And I ended up working in construction for a while too, but it wasn't me. I was in rock and roll bands and I was a dreamer. I think he thought I was a bit of a poser. Anyway, Dad's got Alzheimer's now, so it's difficult to communicate with him. But I know he's listening. Dad, do you remember when I had a birthday? I can't remember if I was 9 or 10. And you bought me a second-hand, reel-to-reel tape recorder. I don't know where you got it. You probably bought it off someone in your local pub, the Chapel House in Great Sankey. Anyway, remember how I used to tape stuff off the TV? I just used to hold the microphone of the tape recorder up to the speaker on the telly and record stuff. My birthday is around the same time as the Trooping of the Colour. Do you remember when I recorded the marching bands off the telly of the Trooping of the Colour? Do you remember what you did? You grabbed the microphone, you rewound the tape, and you pushed a button that was called superimpose, and you recorded a commentary. And when you played it back, your voice was mixed over the top of the marching band. And it sounded like you were at Horse Guards Parade. Only your commentary was different. You said, "And there is the Queen, and as is traditional on these occasions, she's riding side saddle. And oh my goodness, the Queen's fallen off her horse. Oh, this is pandemonium here at Horse Guards. Oh, Prince Philip's helping her up. Oh, and he's pushed her over the other side." When I heard that recording, it blew my mind. My world changed forever that day. You see, up until then, 1 + 1 always equaled 2. But now, I realised it didn't have to. It could be whatever I wanted. And what I wanted most of all was to be just like you.
Graham Mack.
BBC Radio Merseyside.
You know it can be funny when someone uses the wrong word. Well, my wife, Julie, was born in New Zealand. Her parents are Welsh. They emigrated to New Zealand in 1964. So when we want to talk to him, we do it on the computer via Skype. Now, Julie's mum is notorious for getting words mixed up and using the wrong words. Now, it's not an age thing or dementia. She's always been like this. And she finds it just as funny as everyone else. She's 78 years old. She's had some health problems lately. And, well, anyway, let me play you this. This is from our Skype conversation from Friday night. The first voice you'll hear is my wife, Julie, and you'll also hear Julie's dad laughing as well. I'm in it too.
So all you have to do is get yourself, get better.
Mm. We're trying, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're doing every single thing that we can possibly do.
Yeah.
We're going to better with the contraceptive pill because that's what that was for. No, not the contraceptive, the contraceptive pill.
I'm no physician, but I don't think you need to take it anymore.
No, I won't take that anymore. No, a hormone replacement, that's the one. They were going to give me all. Oh my God. That's what we're going to be talking about today. You know, when I went for biopsy, I was telling everybody I was going for an autopsy.
So, first of all, she confuses hormone replacement therapy with, she says she's taking the contraceptive pill at 78 years old. And then she's going for a biopsy. She tells everyone she's going for an autopsy. When have you or someone you know got words mixed up and said the wrong thing? What's the story? Interesting thing happened on Sky News this week. 2 guests turned up wearing the same outfit. Well, they were matching outfits. They weren't identical, but it was a black jacket and a red shirt. It was Lucy Fisher, the senior political correspondent with The Times, and Katie Morley of the Daily Telegraph. They were on to do the paper review. This is on Thursday. And some people thought that it was deliberate. It wasn't. It was a complete accident. And it's embarrassing when women do it, but not so for blokes. Like, if you show up somewhere and another bloke's wearing the same shirt as you, it's like, hey, look, same shirt. We're mates. We're hey. But, like, if a lady shows up and another lady's wearing the same outfit, well, one of them has to go home. So it's totally different. I don't know if it's ever happened to you. It happened to me once. And it was weird. My dad used to work on construction at Stanlow. And he would often bring things home from work. Now, these weren't things related to an oil refinery construction job. For my birthday one year, I got a diver's watch that he'd got at Stanlow. I don't know how that worked. We had tins of salmon once. We had a crate of Britvic orange juice. I don't know where this stuff was coming from. I know I used to go to school in steel toe-cap safety shoes, and I'm not joking. I needed some new shoes because I think I'd ruined my other ones playing football or something, and my mother was on about the price of shoes, and my dad said, what size are you? And next minute he comes home and I'm wearing steel toe-cap safety shoes. But he brought home some shirts once, and I went out to the Baths disco when I was about 15 in Penketh. Penketh Baths used to have a disco. It was a Friday night. And it was actually a girl was wearing the same shirt. It was a red check shirt, looked like a tablecloth. And she didn't know what to say to me, and I didn't know what to say to her. She just said, does your dad work at Stanlow?
Graham Mack.
BBC Radio Merseyside.
A special day for Billy and Jackie from Widnes. It's their anniversary. You are sharing your wedding anniversary with Donald and Melania Trump. Today is their 12th wedding anniversary. Donald, of course, is now the President of the United States. Melania is the First Lady. And during the presidential campaign, Melania was criticised for stealing bits of her speech from Michelle Obama. I've put the two together so you can judge for yourself. There's going to be a little bit of Michelle's speech, followed by a little bit of Melania's speech. You see if you think they're similar. We start with Michelle.
Values, like you work hard for what you want in life.
The values that you work hard for what you want in life.
I mean, those two sound pretty similar to me.
That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
That your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
Pretty close.
That you treat people with dignity and respect.
That you treat people with respect.
Because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
Because we want our children in this nation to know that the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
I put it to you, based on the evidence you're about to hear, that Melania Trump has also stolen from somebody even more important than Michelle Obama. Listen to this.
He will never, ever give up. And most importantly, he will never, ever let you down.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down.
He will never, ever give up. He will never, ever let you down.
Graham Mack.
BBC Radio Merseyside.
Jeff, good morning. Where are you?
I'm in Prescott, Graham.
And you want to talk about somebody getting their words mixed up. Who was it?
It was my mother.
What did she say?
And she'll be listening now.
Okay.
It's Dolly. She was a witness.
Yeah.
About her mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Mother-in-law was always complaining, she said. She's complaining today, complaining about the cold. She probably thinks she's going to die of nymphomania. I think she meant hypothermia.
I think she did. The Musical Box on West Derby Road in Chubrook. It's been selling records since 1947. It's a treat if you're into your music. Wall to wall with just about every single and album ever released. I went to have a rifle through what's there with the owners, Tony Quinn and Diane Kane.
The vinyl has been here since the early 50s, because that's when it popped up. When we first came here, it was shellac, 78s. That was how people bought records. They had wind-up gramophones, radiograms, and then early 50s we got the first 45s, the first LPs, most of which tended to be 10-inch with plain sleeves, no pictures, no lovely, colourful stuff. And people were very wary of them because they'd say, but I only like the one song. I don't know whether I like a whole LP. But eventually they caught on.
So how long did it take then for the LP to replace the single?
Well, I suppose it was a gradual thing, very gradual. But once people realised they could buy an LP of a whole film soundtracks were one of the ways of getting through to people. You could go and see Oklahoma and buy the whole LP, every song, Carousel, The King and I, and so on.
My parents had South Pacific.
Oh, yes.
I mean, they didn't have a lot of albums, and this is, I'm looking at my parents' record collection, which would have been from the early 60s.
Yes.
And the singles were all things like the Beatles and the Searchers and the Swinging Blue Jeans, but the albums, the albums were musicals, yeah.
Well, there were a lot of musicals because you liked every track. You didn't always like every track on an album by one singer. Then later on you got the concept album. So you got rock people doing a concept album, and that drew in the Rick Wakemans, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Yes, all those sort of albums drew people in. Pink Floyd, of course. They are better sellers than the Beatles. If anybody...
In this shop?
Anywhere.
In this shop in Liverpool?
This shop. Pink Floyd, better sellers than the Beatles. Yeah.
So tell me about the history of the shop. Has it always been here on West Derby Road in Chubrook?
We've always been here. Came here in 51. My Uncle Jack had it for a couple of years before my mother took it off him. I went to Holly Lodge School up the road, and I would come in from school 4 o'clock-ish, take off my uniform, come in the shop and sell records. So I have actually done that for 65 years.
Hey, teacher, leave them kids alone.
These look like maybe shoe boxes, and each one of those is packed with 45s, and I'm seeing names like Blue Mink and Joe Brown and Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and ABBA. Yeah. What's the system there? Is there one?
Well, no, you just put all the singles by the particular artist.
But how do you find something? How do you know that Nazareth is...
they're alphabetical.
Are they alphabetical? It looks to me random from here, but I'm still...
No, it's not.
Right.
No.
Well, you've got...
It's our system.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. The Kinks, Carole King, Casey and the Sun.
I'm getting it now.
Yeah.
I'm getting there now.
Yeah. People you've forgotten, probably.
Yeah.
Ronnie Lane, Jimmy Helms.
Yeah, look at that.
The
Badfinger,
Lettermen,
Bad Company.
Bob Lynn, Alex Harvey's band. They don't all sell.
No.
There's people who have jukeboxes buy them.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, but they like hit records generally. So we've got a lot of rubbish. but it's a lovely world, Having done this all my life, I just love it.
Tell me about the kind of people that come into the musical box these days, then. You said there was people who need to stock jukeboxes.
They're fanatical. They just love music. A lot of them can't stop collecting. They'll buy something, take it home, and never open it, but they've got it. It's there. Young people, students especially, are being given turntables.
There's a big vinyl revival, isn't there?
So the turntable is taking over. So the shop is often full of younger people looking for cheap vinyl.
And what are they looking for?
They're looking for anything. It used to be just rock music. The Beatles, Stones, Led Zeppelin, you know, that sort of stuff. But now they're buying Sinatra and Nat King Cole, Carpenters, ABBA, anybody on vinyl.
Knowing me, knowing you, there is nothing we can do. Knowing me, knowing you.
Which is the album or the CD or the 45 that you're most proud of that you stock, that if somebody comes in you can say, yeah, we've got that?
Heavens, I don't know, really.
Maybe something hard to get?
I suppose the most collectible one was the Led Zeppelin one that now fetches about £1,500.
Which one's that one?
But Tony sold our copy for about 25 quid.
How long ago?
A couple of years ago.
Is that why Tony's hiding out the back?
Yeah.
He didn't want to
They're
talk.
all collectible albums. But
it was 50 quid and it was in the 90s. We thought it was worth that money.
Seems like a couple of years ago to me.
This is an experience coming in. I haven't even spent any money.
No,
No.
you don't have to. You can tell me about your medical conditions if you like, because people often do.
I'm gonna give you my love. Want a whole lot of love.
I always say it was because of me Lonnie Donegan became famous.
Why is that?
Because I was a jazz fan, used to go and see Chris Barber, and he, of course, had Lonnie playing the banjo. And they used to do this skiffle session, and they brought out a 10-inch LP. And on this was Rock Island Line by Lonnie. We used to get reps in those days. This particular rep, he seemed to take to me. But he'd say to me, who do you like? And I'd say, Lonnie Donegan, he's on Decca, you've got him. And he'd say, who's Lonnie Donegan? And so I'd play Rock Island Line off this LP, and I'd say, should issue that as a single. I even told Lonnie, I said, you need that coming out. And one Christmas, Decca issued a 78 of Lonnie Donegan, Rock Island Line, and it went straight up the chart.
And that's the song that started the skiffle boom, and all of the Merseybeat groups and everything that followed on were all built on that.
And when Lonnie was successful and came to the Empire, he invited us to the front of the queue and he signed all these lovely 10-inch Lonnie Donegan showcase LPs he had, which I sold. I've never even kept one. But I always say, because of me, Lonnie Donegan became a hit.
Rock on the line, it's a mighty good road. Rock on the line, your road to ride it. Rock on the line, it's a mighty good road. If you won't, ride, you got to ride it like you find to get your ticket at the station on a rock on the line.
I love her. We've been talking about this BBC TV News where the news presenter, John Kay, introduced the wrong guest. He introduced him as a mountaineer, and I think he was an academic or something, but they dealt with it really well. But when have you had one of these embarrassing situations? It's a case of mistaken identity or something that got mixed up. Good morning, Ron in Netherton. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Graham. Yeah, I'm like many people, especially men. We've put our foot in it many times.
Yeah.
We have a habit of talking to our wives out windows and or in shops, and they walk away and leave you standing there looking absolutely an idiot. A number of years back, we were out shopping and we were looking in one of the windows in town, and there was some lovely dresses she was looking at, and I just suddenly said, "I'll tell you what, there was a lovely slinky dress in particular, and I said, tell you what, I'd love to see you in that." Unbeknown to me, my wife had walked away, and alongside me was a lovely little chubby lady who said, "You buy it for me, and I'll wear it."
on the phone is my Aunty Hazel, who has always claimed she lives in Woolton, but I'm pretty sure it's Allerton. Where is it, Aunty Hazel?
It's Allerton.
It's Allerton, okay. Well, what was it? You were Woolton? Were you just social climbing there for a while?
No, but as far as you're concerned, when you come round, we live in Woolton.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Now,
Norman lives in Woolton, and we live in Allerton.
Uncle Norman lives in Woolton, right, okay.
We're called Calderstones, if you want to be precise.
Well, there you go. Now, we were talking about cases of mistaken identity. Did you know the one, your daughter, my cousin Victoria, did you know the one that my mother did to her?
I forgot about that. Yes, that was quite funny. It was a film that was being made in Liverpool, and my daughter had a very small part in it. She was doing drama.
Yeah.
And she had a small part, and the scene was in Bold Street.
Yeah.
But your mother went shopping.
Yeah.
I was meeting your mother, and she was with your gran.
Right.
And your mum had come out of Central Station and walked up Bold Street, and a scene was going on.
Yeah.
And one of the McGann boys was playing Mrs. Thatcher.
Right.
And in the scene, there was a priest which had fallen over, and my daughter went to assist to help him up. She didn't have a speaking part.
Yeah.
But she was at school.
Right. So how old was she at the time then?
How old was she?
How old was Victoria?
15.
Okay, yeah.
And she went up and she assisted the actor to get up.
Yeah.
And your mother was watching what was going on, and she saw my daughter, and she thought it was real. And she went up to Victoria at the end of the scene, and she said, "Does your mother know you're here?" She said, "Yes." She said, "Why are you here? Why aren't you at school?"
Oh, right.
And she said, "Well, Auntie Al," she said, "I'm in a film." She said, "I don't care what film it is. You should be in school."
Well, that's what my mum said to Victoria.
She said, "I'm acting." She said, "Does your mother know you're here?" And she said, "Oh, yes, she does." And Olive thought it was real. You see. And,
brilliant.
Real. And I met up with Olive and I said, "Oh, yes," I said, she's got this acting part. And it was only very brief, but it was with Glenda Jackson, and she got a little photograph and things like that.
Look at that. A case of mistaken. Oh, my mother wasn't aware of what was really going on.
Well, no, not until I filled her in.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, I don't think you should let her off to do anything like that." But it was quite funny, and I said, did she sound convincing or look convincing? She said, "Yeah," because she said she fooled me.
Well, there you go. That shows you how good an actress she is.
Oh, yeah.
There you are. Hazel, great to hear from you.
But Happy New Year, and welcome back, and it's very, very refreshing to hear you again on the radio.
All right, thank you. Well, you're biased, though, so, yeah. But anyway, thank you very much, Aunty Hazel.
Okay, and all the best to everybody at Radio Merseyside.
All right, thank you. Cheers.
Okay, is this real?
Yes, it is real. Yeah.
Oh, okay, then.
All right, thank you. Something very special is about to happen. When I was about 6 years old, I discovered records and our old Echo radiogram in the living room in our house in Great Sankey. And it was my parents' record collection. And they had some stuff there that was okay, but didn't do it for me. They had Nat King Cole and Tony Bennett and Sammy Davis Jr. And they also had 3 records that I was into, but one of them was in another class. Those 3 records were I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles, Needles and Pins by the Searchers, but the one that was my absolute favourite was this one from the Swingin' Blue Jeans.
For goodness sake, I got the hippie, hippie shakes. Yeah, I got the shakes. I got the hippie, hippie shakes. Ooh, the hippie, hippie shake.
The Swingin' Blue Jeans, the hippie, hippie shake. And here he is, the man himself, Ray Ennis. Thanks for coming in. It's just an honour to meet you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
After all these years, I mean, you've no idea. This song, I mean, I was way too young to remember when the Mersey Beat thing happened.
Right.
But I discovered these records of my parents and played them on this radiogram. It was an old valve amp as well, so the sound was so rich. And listening to it today, I still think it is the most perfect rock and roll record ever recorded. From your voice starting, it doesn't mess about. It's not even 2 minutes long. The beat, the solo in the middle, and right down to that final chord, it never misses, ever. And I can feel myself getting emotional thinking about it now, because I was so into that. So we had one of those scruffy auto change decks where you could stack 10 songs up.
yeah.
And I used to put 10 songs on. They were my top 10. But Hippie Hippie Shake was always number one. And I used to talk in between each one as they dropped down. You had to be careful because sometimes two would drop down and you had to look at the label and work out which one it was. And this was in the early 70s, so all my mates were into like Slade and The Sweet. And we had a disco at our school. And I took this. This is it. This is the vinyl, the 45.
I can tell by the cobwebs.
Yes. I took this along and played it at the disco. And all the other kids are like, what's this? And I'm like, you've no idea. This is Hippie Hippie Shake by the Swinging Blue Jeans. So tell me, I want you to sign this, and I want to see if it'll play on our turntable in a bit. Right. But tell me about the history of the Swinging Blue Jeans first.
We started at the Cavern as a skiffle group in 1957. So it's 60 years this year. Because then it was just a jazz club, and we used to go down there, as mates, and there was always a pregnant pause when the jazz band went to the pub, because they didn't sell alcohol in the Cavern then,
Yeah.
And of course, nothing happened. There was no records put on, anything like that, And the manager at the time was a guy called Ricky Ashen, and we said to them, we're a skiffle group, and Lonnie Donegan was getting quite big at the time. He was still with Chris Barber, but he was doing stuff as a skiffle group. We said, if we could, it's only 45 minutes, we can play and keep the music going and people dancing, He wasn't very keen, but he gave us a chance and we did it. And we sort of played every Sunday after that for quite a few years,
And you were originally a skiffle band, like a lot of them.
Well, yeah, all the bands, the Beatles included, all started off as a skiffle group. It was the cheapest way of playing music, basically.
But weren't the Swinging Blue Jeans also a jazz band as well?
What happened was we were never a jazz band as such. We were great jazz fans.
Yeah.
And what we did was we were a six-piece at one point. So we had, from the skiffle group, we had banjo, bass, string bass, big double bass and drums. And instead of trumpet, clarinet and trombone on the front line, we had three guitars.
Yeah.
So we did all these classic jazz songs.
Like Old Man Mo's.
Old Man Mo's and the old Louis Armstrong one and that. And just did them in a different fashion, basically,
Yeah, and that led on to pure rock and roll.
Well, that didn't happen until we went to Star Club in Hamburg.
Yeah, because the first trip didn't go well, did it?
Well, no. Paul McCartney actually organised the first trip for us going over there because he spoke German, and the guy that Horst Fascher came over from Star Club to book more bands.
Yeah.
And we went to the coffee bar in Church Street, and Paul, was rabbiting away in German. Of course, we didn't know what the hell he was talking about, Anyway, he organised the whole thing for a month in September 1962, I think it was. And we went over with the same lineup.
Yeah.
And it was like a rock and roll factory, the Star Club. As one band was finishing, the curtains closed, and every band finished on Ray Charles' What I Say.
Right.
So the next band had to start on What I Say, so it was seamless going into the next act. So we could play What I Say, and then we went into our normal act, and we started playing Down by the Riverside, and all of a sudden all the crowd started whistling. Well, whistling over here was, great, so we thought, hey, we're going down a storm here, Next minute, the curtains started shutting on us, and the Horst Fascher came on. He said, "Get off! They don't like you. They don't like you. They don't like this silly music. They want rock and roll, And we were, rock and roll fans as well. So the next day we had to. The banjo player Paul Moss went on to Hammond organ.
Yeah,
because he was quite a proficient musician. Les Braid borrowed Jackie Lomax's out the Undertaker's bass guitar, and we just learned to, practice a whole lot of Chuck Berry songs in the afternoon, and then went on at night and just played rock and roll from then on. Never looked back.
Never looked back. That's how it all started. Yeah. So the song Hippie Hippie Shake, where did that come from?
Well, we first heard that in the Cavern. The Beatles used to play it in the Cavern. Paul McCartney used to sing it, And Bob Woolard got hold of the original record by Shan Romero, who wrote the song.
Bob was the DJ in the Cavern.
Bob was the DJ at the Cavern then. We passed an audition with EMI on a song that I'd written called It's Too Late Now, which luckily enough we got in the top 30. We then recorded another song called It Isn't There by Clint Ballard, which was a cracking song, but it died a death. So we were looking frantically for a song, and Norman Culk, the drummer, then suggested Hippie Hippie Shake. Well, we'd never played it at all.
Right.
And we didn't have a copy of it. And we were actually up in Newcastle doing a show. And we got in touch with Jimmy Ireland, who was our manager, who used to own the Mardi Gras in Liverpool, asked him if he could get hold of a copy. So he went into NEMS, and Sue Johnson, who's, the actress Sue, was Norman's girlfriend at the time. And she got hold of a copy of Sean Romero's Give It to Jimmy Ireland and said, don't tell Brian Epstein, otherwise I'll get the sack. Jimmy drove up to Newcastle, gave us the record. We rehearsed it in the Whiskey A Go-Go in Newcastle, then went on up to Scotland, to Glasgow, to do a show, and that was the first night we'd ever played it.
Yeah.
And we were doing, just doing the show, and it was going down fine, and then we just stuck Hippie Hippie Shake in, and all the girls started screaming, and we'd never had girls screaming at us before in our lives. We thought, this has got to be a cracking record, this, So we went down to London to EMI. Wally Ridley was our A&R man. Played this record to him, and he said, have you got any other stuff? And we said, yeah, we've written other stuff ourselves. So we did about 4 tracks, and he wanted to do one of our songs, and we said, no, Hippie Hippie Shake's the song. He said, that'll never be a hit, ever. And he was very reluctant to. Anyway, we were so adamant about it, and we thought, well, we've got nothing to lose. We've had a hit record anyway, so we can all go back to work.
Yes.
So we said, well, look, if you don't release Hippie Hippie Shake, we might as well call it a day. So he did, and EMI had a Radio Luxembourg show in them days, a 15-minute show. So he used to play about 15 seconds of records, And he said, well, I'll try and get it on the playlist with that, and but I don't think it'll make it, Anyway, it did, went on, boom.
Yeah. And went to the top of the British charts, and it even charted in America as well.
Charted in America, Australia, all over the world, which was terrific,
And on the back of that, you got the follow-up song, which was Good Golly Miss Molly.
Yeah, well, what happened was EMI in them days, if you had a hit with something like Hippie Hippie Shake, the next record had to be very similar, if not the same.
They don't want to mess with the winning formula.
No, well, we had You're No Good lined up then.
Yeah, which is a lovely song.
Cracking song.
Yeah.
But, no, we have to have another rock and roll song, So, we did Good Golly Miss Molly in the act,
Yeah.
So we played that. He said, yeah, that's the one. So we did that.
Well, let's hear a bit of that before we go any further.
Good golly, Miss Molly, yeah, you sure like the ball. Oh, good golly, Miss Molly, yeah, you sure like the ball. When you're shaking and shouting, can you hear your mama call?
BBC Radio Merseyside and the Swinging Blue Jeans, Good Golly Miss Molly, and with me is Ray Ennis, who is the lead singer and guitar player in the Swinging Blue Jeans when that was recorded. Now, back then, what was the technology like that you were recording these things on?
Well, it was very, very basic. It was only 2-track. I don't know if the listeners are au fait with what I'm talking about, but we actually, with Hippie Shake, for instance, and Good Golly Miss Molly, we recorded the song and I sang it at the same time. And then we had another track left over then where we could double track the voices to fatten them out.
Yeah, so you just sang it in unison with your own voice. It wasn't a harmony thing.
No, we didn't do a harmony. We just sang it in unison, which,
Well, like on Hippie Hippie Shake, the solo in the middle sounds like there's 2 guitars on there. Is there only the one?
No, there's only the one because he's playing, it's all on 2 strings.
Yeah.
It's not single string solo. In fact, Ralph Ellis, who played the solo, the initial solo on Sean Romero's disc was similar to that, and he used that as a basis, and he embellished it into a really classic guitar solo. To me, it should be up there with
absolutely
all these ones they're putting out on CD now.
How did you feel in the 80s when the song was released again for the movie Cocktail, but it wasn't your version?
No. Well, what happened was the EMI apparently wanted too much money.
Oh, I see.
From off Warner Brothers, but Warner Brothers also had this other band whose name escapes me at the moment.
The Georgia Satellites?
Georgia Satellites.
Yeah.
Well, they were recording for Warner Brothers, and of course Warner Brothers did the film.
Yeah.
So what they did, they actually used our version on the trailers they put on TV and radio.
Yeah.
But in the film, they used Georgia Satellite. And I actually had to listen to it a couple of times because it was so close.
It's so close.
to
Even
our
the
version.
solo's close.
Yeah.
The whole,
And
they've
that's-
nicked the arrangement totally, lifted it.
Yeah, there's just a couple of things vocally that I knew it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And then the solo wasn't actually spot on, but
Yeah.
it was so close. It was a very good version. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have recorded the song over the years, but Swingin' Blue Jeans are the only act to have a hit with it.
Yes, I think there's about 10 or 15 versions of it out.
Yeah. So Swingin' Blue Jeans continued through the 70s and the 80s. And you've got to remember, so this is the 70s, and this is my favourite record. Swingin' Blue Jeans are my favourite band. I've never even seen you. I don't even know what you look like. And then one night, I'm staying with my my auntie in Lytham St Anne's, and my cousin. I'm in his bedroom. We're on bunk beds. And he's got a TV, a black and white TV an old black and white telly in the bedroom. And the Wheel Tappers and Shunters comes
God,
on.
yeah.
And it's the Swingin' Blue Jeans and Hippie Hippie Shake. And he's like, what's this? And I'm like, what's this? This is the Swingin' Blue Jeans. I couldn't believe it. So that must have, was it the cabaret circuit that you were on?
Well, yeah,
at that stage?
eventually all the bands had to go on the, well, especially the 60s bands, you know, because we sort of went out of fashion for a few years, which also gave us the opportunity to tour other countries in the world, which we hadn't been to before.
Yeah.
So it did us a favour in a way, you know. But we all did the, you know, chicken in the basket circus, as we called it, you know.
Right.
Yeah. But,
And what are you up to these days?
Well, I retired in 1970, but I still keep my toe in the water. I do lots of charity shows, and I do I do television over in Scandinavia and Germany and places like that. You know, so I
what do you got coming up?
Well, I'm going over to Denmark in about 5 weeks' time, doing television over there. Then, you know, they've found out I'm still alive.
Are you doing anything with the 60th anniversary of the Cavern?
Well, they asked me earlier on. They did something in January, I think it was. Anyway, whenever the date was, I was away, so I couldn't do it, you know.
Yeah.
But we're trying to have a word with the Cavern and get the band that I'm with now, you know, the band I use at the moment, to do our 60th anniversary at the Cavern.
Wow.
And, you know, donate the money to charity and hope we get millions of people in, you know.
That'd be brilliant.
Oh,
Ray,
yeah.
it's an honour to meet you. And I've got the old 45, which officially, it isn't actually mine, it's my parents'. I've stolen it, really. I'm going round to see my mum tomorrow night. I hope she doesn't want it back. Especially as I've given you, there's a gold pen there. If you could sign the label on there, that'd be terrific. And then once you've signed it, I've got a record player here in the studio. I want to see if this original pressing from 1963, I want to see if it will still play.
I'm sure it will.
Well,
it looks in very good condition, actually.
Well, the ones back then, they were solid. They weren't like the 1970s and 80s vinyl singles.
Is that bitter or lager stains on that?
I don't know what's on there. It's even got a bit of a rip on it as well, hasn't it? Which I think gives it character. But it's always had that rip on it as long as I can remember.
No, it's terrific there.
So I want to see if it'll play on it. Yeah, they must have made them out of something more solid than they made them. They were really thin in the 70s and 80s records, but the 60s ones were solid.
Well, they are. That's, you know, you could kill someone with that.
It is. So if you just scribe your name on there, and I've got something to treasure forever, and I'll see if I can get it to play. It'll be like the school disco at Great Sankey County Primary School.
Wow.
From the early 70s. Oh, thanks. Look at that.
It's my pleasure.
Look at that. Right. I'm going to try this. I'm going to see if it'll play. Wish me luck.
Yeah.
I'm putting it on now.
Fingers crossed.
I'm going to open.
Well, you remember how to do it, so that's not too bad.
Is, yeah. But here we go.
For goodness sake, I got the hippie hippie shakes. Yeah, I got the shakes. I got the hippie hippie shakes. Oh, I can't sit still with the hippie hippie shakes. Yeah, I feel now with the hippie hippie shakes. shake with all of your might, oh baby. Yeah, come on, shake. Harder than the band. Ooh, the hippie, hippie shake. Ooh, the hippie, hippie shake. Ooh, the hippie, hippie shake.
It plays almost perfectly, Ray.
Yeah, it's very good, isn't it?
It's just got a little bit of a crackle on the end there, and a bit of, but I think that makes it special. There, there's the needle going off.
Yeah, that's another sixpence for Shan Romero.
There you go. Ray Ennis, thanks for me pen back. Thank you very much. Thank you for signing my record.
It's my pleasure, Graham.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah,
I hope you'll stick around so I can get a photograph with you.
Yes,
certainly
will.
And thanks very much to Hattie and the team for setting this up for me and for absolutely making my day. Thank you.
Hattie's very persuasive.
Talking about harsh rejection stories, because a waitress this week went for a job and she got rejected by text. The text wasn't very nice and finished with a crying face emoji. That's a pretty harsh rejection. What's your story of harsh rejection? When I was about 15, I used to go to Penketh Bath's disco every week on a Friday night. And one week I met this girl and I thought this girl was something else, and a friend went out with my mate Mark Lightfoot. I went out with her for a week, and the following week at the Bath's disco, she takes me to one side, and she says, Liz doesn't want to see Mark anymore. I said, oh no, he's going to be really upset. She said, yeah, so are you. It's kind of a harsh way to get dumped. I'm Graham Mack, looking at what happened on this day in history. Well, on this day in 1989, a show called Legs Diamond closed on Broadway after only 64 performances. Now, this show was put on by Peter Allen. Peter Allen was born Peter Richard Woolnough. He was the first husband of Liza Minnelli. They divorced after 7 years. Later, he came out as gay. And Peter and his long-term partner, Gregory Connell, well, they died of age-related illnesses about 8 years apart. Peter was born in Tenterfield, New South Wales, which is a small Australian country town. His grandfather, George Woolnough, worked as a saddler, making and selling saddles to jackaroos, which is what Australians call cowboys. George was so respected locally that a wing of the local library is named after him. Now, George's son and Peter's father, Dick, became a violent alcoholic after returning from World War II. He committed suicide by shooting himself when Peter was still very young. George never understood what went on there and never got over it. Peter Allen wrote about it all in this song, Tenterfield Saddler.
The late George Woolnough worked on High Street and lived on Manners. 52 years he sat on his veranda and made his saddles. And if you had questions about sheep or flowers or doves, you just ask the saddler. He lived without sin. They're building a library for him. Time is a traveler, Tenterfield saddler, turn your head. Right again, jackaroo, think I see kangaroo up ahead. The son of George Woolnough went off and got married and had a war baby. There's something was wrong, and it's easier to drink than go crazy. And if there were questions about why the end was so sad, well, George had no answers about why a son ever has need of a gun. Time is a traveler, Tenterfield saddler, turn your head. Right again, jackaroo, think I see kangaroo up ahead. The grandson of George has been all around the world and lives no special place. Changed his last name and he married a girl with an interesting face. He'd almost forgotten them both, because in the life that he leads, there's nowhere for George and his library or the son with his gun to belong. Except in this song, time is a traveler, Tenterfield saddler, turn your head. Ride again, jackaroo, think I see kangaroo up ahead. Oh, time is a meddler, Tenterfield saddler, make your bed. Fly away, cockatoo, down on the ground, emu up ahead. Time is a tale teller, Tenterfield saddler, turn your head. Ride again, jackaroo, think I see kangaroo up ahead. Oh, time is a tale teller, Tenterfield saddler, make a bed.
Graham Mack.
BBC Radio Merseyside.
I need you to solve a mystery for me. My mate John Pearman, who's the editor of the Liverpool fanzine Read All Over the Land, he found this song from 1966. It's called Roaring and Scoring, and it's sung to the tune of the Beach Boys' Barbara Ann. And it's about Liverpool and Everton, because Everton won the FA Cup in 1966, Liverpool won the league. But there's some dispute over who it's by. Here's the song.
Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool and Everton. You go screaming and roaring when you see them scoring. Liverpool, Liverpool and Everton. So St. John, Big Ron Yates, Thompson on the wing, they're three of the greats. Liverpool, Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool, Liverpool and Everton. You go screaming and roaring when we see him scoring. Liverpool, Liverpool and Everton. Everton and Liverpool, Everton and Liverpool, Everton and Liverpool, Everton and Liverpool, Everton and Liverpool. You go screaming and roaring when we see him scoring. Everton, Everton and Liverpool. So Ralph Young, goalkeeper West, Chico on the wing, they're three of the best. Everton, Everton and Liverpool, Everton, Everton and Liverpool. You go screaming and roaring when we see him scoring. Everton, Everton and Liverpool.
Introducing Liverpool, goalkeeper Tom Lawrence, back four Chris Lawler, Tom Smith, Ron Yeats and Jerry Byrne, linkmen Gordon Milne and Willie Stevenson, strikers Ian Callaghan, Roger Hunt, Ian St John and Peter Thompson, reserve Jeff Strong and manager Bill Shankly.
Screaming and roaring when they see him scoring. Liverpool, Liverpool and Everton.
Introducing Everton, goalkeeper Gordon West, back four Tommy Wright, Brian LeBone, Brian Harris and Ray Wilson, middle three Jimmy Gabriel, Colin Harvey and Alex Young, front three Alex Scott, Mike Treblecock and Derek Temple, reserves Fred Pickering and Sandy Brown and manager Harry Cattery.
Screaming and roaring when we see him scoring. Everton, Everton and Liverpool, Everton to Wembley 2-0 down. Treblecock and Temple got the cup to to the town, Everton, Everton, and Liverpool, Everton, Everton, and Liverpool. You go screaming and roaring when we see them scoring, Everton, Everton, and Liverpool. Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool and Everton. You go screaming and roaring when we see them scoring, Liverpool, Liverpool and Everton. Let's top the table filled with pride. Now both trophies side by side, Liverpool, Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool, Liverpool and Everton. You go screaming and roaring when we see them scoring, Liverpool, Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool and Everton.
So the group that did that in '66, celebrating Liverpool and Everton, which is something that doesn't seem to happen as much now. I think that's a shame because, you know, I've spoken to older people who said that they used to support Liverpool, but if Liverpool were playing away, they'd often go to Goodison, watch a good game of football. So I want to know who this is by. Now, according to YouTube, originally it was thought that this group, who called themselves the Conda Group, Konda, the Conda Group, it was originally thought that they were the Easy Beats. There was a Liverpool Easy Beats because they were the only surf band in the city, but it wasn't them. So who were the Conda Group? Does anybody know? Did anybody buy that record? Do you know anything more about it? Roaring and a Scoring by the Conda Group, 1966. 0151 709 9333. BBC Radio Merseyside. Good morning, I'm Graham Mack, and I've got to be honest with you, I've been through an emotional roller coaster this morning. Driving into BBC Radio Merseyside, I heard Paul Beasley announce the death of Chuck Berry. And to be in this city, hearing that news, a city that has given so much music to the world, and so much of that music influenced directly by Chuck Berry. I mean, you only have to listen to those Hamburg tapes to hear John Lennon doing Little Queenie or Sweet Little 16 to know how much Chuck Berry meant to him. And so many of the Cavern bands played Chuck's songs. I was in a band in the 80s in New Zealand. We played Chuck Berry songs. To close every show, we only finished on one of two songs, either Roll Over Beethoven or Johnny Be Good, because there's nowhere to go after you've played one of those songs. I've been lucky enough to see Chuck Berry live. That was in New Zealand in about 1989. He was in his early 60s. I wasn't expecting much from him, but he came out on stage with no backing music to warm the crowd up, in a circus tent built in a car park where no one was sitting. Everybody was just standing up waiting to see what happened. He took his guitar out of the case on stage, plugged it into the amp. The amp made a noise, and then he played that riff. And the whole place just went mental. I mean, I'm getting emotional. When I was there, I was crying my eyes out. I was staring at the stage and going, it's Chuck Berry. I'm seeing Chuck Berry, and he's really good. And after that, the Everly Brothers and Bo Diddley and Jerry Lee Lewis came on, but they never did to that crowd what Chuck Berry did. I've been to his hometown of St. Louis, Missouri, and I've stood in the studio at 2120 Michigan Avenue in Chicago, where Chuck recorded all those great songs. And this morning I've been watching clips from Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll, the movie made in '87 for his 60th birthday that Keith Richards put together. And I've got some clips from it for you, including what John Lennon had to say about Chuck Berry. Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll. Dave in Kirby, you got more information for me?
I've got the single.
Yes.
And it's on the Major Records album, label.
What's it called? Major? It's on the Major record. Yeah. Okay.
And it was recorded in Liverpool and Hackenshay.
It was?
Yeah.
Because I've heard it was recorded in Stockport. See, it's a mystery, this thing, isn't it?
Well, that's what... Well, I'll go further. It may have been... on the single, it's got Toasted Merseyside on one side.
Right.
In red.
Yeah.
And the other side in blue, it's got Roaring and Scoring.
Roaring and Scoring is the one about Liverpool and Everton, yeah.
Yeah, and the other one is, as I say, is in red, the Toasted Merseyside.
Right.
On the other side of the single, it's a 45.
Yeah.
Now, with that, there was also an album called Mersey Boot.
Was there?
And that on one side was all Liverpool, the other side was all Everton.
I see.
And it recorded all the Liverpool games that they won the league that season.
Oh, it
And the
mentioned
Everton
it.
one was down by round, and commentary on the final itself.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, and that was called Mersey Boot.
Have you got that as well?
I have.
These two are probably worth a few bob, especially together.
I think they're on show at the museum on the Pierhead.
Are they? Are they? Right. All right. Hey, well, thanks for giving me some more information, Dave.
Yeah, but as I say, it was Major Record Production, Studio 1, 20 Hackensay, Liverpool 2.
And it says that on the label?
On the album.
On the album, it says that's where it was recorded. Oh, well,
yeah,
that's where
and
it was
on the
recorded.
single, it's got in brackets, it's got Major Records, brackets, inverted commas, Mersey Boot.
All right. Hey, Dave, thank you very much.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. Bobby's on the phone now. Bobby, what do you know about this, and how would you know?
Well, I was the bass player with the band, the Conda Group.
Don't you love Radio Merseyside?
Uh-huh.
Don't you you can throw anything out there and somebody listening is connected to it. You were the bass player. Now, tell me about the Conda Group then.
Well, Conda Group was formed around about 63. We did 2 Beach Boy covers.
Yeah.
We did Playtown. We played the Downbeat. In fact, we appeared with Billy Butler
Yeah.
a few times on there. But,
Yeah.
but we played out of town a lot. We played Blackpool an awful lot. What happened with that record, basically why we never put our name on it, was supposedly publicity, but what had happened is we were only approached the week before the record was made.
Yeah.
There was a folk group. The guy from Hackensay, John Seddon, his name was. and
So
he
that's
used
true.
to-
What David said about it being recorded in Hackensack, that's correct.
Well, it wasn't actually recorded in Hackensay. That's where his office was.
Ah.
And he used to... he put money into the band. He looked after it. He was trying to get us recorded and stuff.
And you were called the Conda Group.
Originally, we called the Condors when we
Oh, the
started.
Condors with a C. Right.
With a C, and then we changed it to the Conda Group, Konda.
What, just for this song, or the band did change the name?
we changed the name.
Right.
For various reasons.
Okay.
We changed the line up a bit,
Yeah.
But still, the drummer and the lead guitarist are still in contact with and myself.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was John Seddon had a folk group who were going to do this song for Everton and Liverpool, and they let him down, and they asked us to do it, and we said, well, we'd do it, but there's no way we're doing a folk one. And Barbara Ann was in our repertoire.
Yeah.
So basically, on a Wednesday night, we got together in my house in Seaforth, well, my mum and dad's house.
Yeah.
3 of us went in one room and 3 went in the other, and one lot got Toast to Merseyside.
Yeah.
That was a guy called Arthur Jones, and he sung or he did the falsettos. And my lot, because I was the football fan, I actually wrote the roaring and scoring.
You wrote it?
And then we got together in the one room, knocked it together, put it on a Grundig. John Seddon went on the telephone and actually put it through to the people who were doing the recording. They liked it. We went on the Sunday to Manchester, recorded it in one take, and it was pressed and released by the following week, and it was a single.
And how close was this to Everton's Cup final in '66 against Sheffield Wednesday?
Not long after.
Right, so the whole town was still in the buzz.
Within a month or so.
So you were riding that wave?
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby, thank you very much for filling in all the blanks.
I've got copies of the Liverpool Echo. We've actually got photographs of the poster which advertised the song. It was 7 and 6 when it came out as a single, and it actually got in the Liverpool top 5. It was printed in the Echo. I think it got to number 3 or something in the top 5 in the Liverpool Echo. So that was our little moment of fame.
Was it ever? Bobby, thanks for checking in.
Okay, it was
just
a pleasure.
Brilliant. Here
I
it is.
Cleared it up because this has been ongoing for a few years. Frankie Connor actually had it on a few years ago.
Oh, did he? And he didn't solve the mystery, but I've done it.
Well, you've got it. So
Thank you very much, Bobby. Thank you.
Graham.
Cheers,
Pleasure
mate.
to speak to you.
And
okay,
you too.
Bye.
Here it is, roaring and a scoring from 1966.
Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool and Everton, Liverpool and Everton.
How are you, Maureen?
I'm fine, Graham, thank you.
A special anniversary for you.
52 years.
This is you and Ron.
It is.
And Ron's not been so good lately.
No, he's in a nursing home at the moment. He's got vascular dementia.
Yeah. And you been to see him?
Oh, I went and had a meal with him yesterday. I told him about the wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
And he said, who did you get married to?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they say, the important thing, because my dad's going through it as well, the important thing is to get to know the person they've become. And you've always got those memories of who they were.
Exactly.
And you cling on tight to them and just enjoy being with the person you've got right now.
Yeah, and he doesn't look any different.
Yeah. You want a song
and I
then?
love him to bits. My guy, Mary Wells.
Here it is for you. Thanks, Maureen.
Thank you, Graham.
Cheers.
Nothing you could take can tear me away from my guy.
I'm Steve Dean for BBC Radio Merseyside Travel.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Now, we normally have Samantha Dean.
We do indeed.
Any relation there?
Absolutely not.
Okay, right, good.
So we'll quell those rumours before they even start.
Yeah, so anyone who thinks that you're post-op Samantha, that's not correct. Okay.
That's not true.
I can't believe you're doing that here. When have you found yourself asking that question? Joanne in Anfield, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
When have you found yourself asking that?
A couple of times with the same people, actually.
Yeah, where at?
At the match at Anfield.
Yeah.
What came first, the Christmas crackers? At Christmas, a guy just pulled out a box of Christmas crackers and started pulling them with people.
It's just but these must have been like other season ticket holders who we knew from the match. Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope they're not listening today.
I've seen people on the cop near Christmas give each other Christmas cards. I've seen that before.
Oh no, this was full on Christmas crackers. He comes with a packed lunch each week, and I'm not.
Right, and he had a whole box of Christmas crackers, yeah, and handed them out, yeah.
The best one was a birthday cake.
So somebody took a birthday cake to the match. He took a birthday. Does he do anything other than at the match? It sounds like he's got a really lonely life, and his only social life is at the match. So he takes his Christmas crackers, and he took a birthday cake. What was he? It was
a guy in front. It was his birthday. I think the friends away from the match, but they don't live by each other.
Right, so they only see each other at the match. I get it. Yeah.
So yeah. He rocks up with a birthday cake.
No, hang on. Was it cut up into portions?
No. He had serviettes and a plastic knife.
And a plastic knife, and he starts divvying up the birthday cake.
And I just didn't know whether to laugh.
Yeah.
Or,
you don't know whether that's wonderful or very sad. You've no idea where that is on that spectrum.
Well, as a girl who used to stand on the cop, I just sad.
Well, you're lucky you didn't have candles on it and light them. You know what I mean? It could have taken it to an extreme. And did everybody get a bit of cake, or was it? I mean, was there enough?
Well, we never. We're not in the fan club. You see.
I see. You don't know what's going on there. And
we're not in the love club.
Whereabouts does he sit? Because he's going to be there today. Well, it would be nice, because if somebody's in that part of the ground, they can look out for, end of the season today. It might be something. He might be doing something to mark the occasion. If he only sees these people when he goes to the match, there might be like a big farewell kind of a thing going on here today.
Well, it will be, because we're all moving over to the main stand.
Oh, are you? Right, now is everybody in that section moving over to there?
So, we are. Apparently,
right,
it's the back zero.
Well, yeah.
Disabled
there could be something going on. So whereabouts is this then?
In the Centenary.
In the
Centenary.
Lower Centenary. Which end? Which end? Cop end. Cop end. Lower Centenary. Oh well, just give me a rough idea of the row.
Cop end.
Lower Centenary, and we'll see what he's up to today.
Yeah, I'll phone you in next week if he is.
How many rows up from the pitch?
No, I'm not even going to go there.
Well, come on, what is it? Did you say 29?
We're 29, they're in front of us, so they'll be 28.
Okay, so road 28, Lower Centenary, towards the cop. There should be something going on there to mark the occasion of the last game of the season, and probably something because the seats are moving to the main stand because it's going to be...
Oh my God!
It'd be going some to beat Christmas crackers and a birthday cake. One or the other would be hard to beat, but for the two, we wonder what the trifecta's going to be today. Then, all right.
Well,
thank you very much,
He'll
Joanne.
have binoculars today as well for when the players do the lap down the pitch.
He's in row 28 and he needs binoculars.
Yeah, and his iPad.
And his iPad. What's he do on his iPad?
God knows. We don't get involved. What does he do on his iPad? watches the match sometimes.
He watches the match.
I don't know how. 'Cause I can never get
Hang
in.
on, he's in row 28 and he's watching the match on his iPad.
You couldn't make it up, could you?
You couldn't make it up.
This is true.
All right.
Honestly, this is just so... We sit there... Well, we come home each week. There's 3 of us with 2 season tickets, so we come home and say, guess what he done today?
All right, Joanne, thank you very much for sharing. All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Stop the show. My Aunty Hazel's on the phone. Good morning, Aunty Hazel.
Good morning, Graham Mack. I'm very, very pleased to be listening to your programme.
Thank you very much. How are things in Allerton? They all right this morning?
Absolutely fine.
Okay. Now, you missed it. I know it was your birthday. It was one of the first things I did on the show today because I wanted to make sure I did it. I didn't want to forget.
I believe so because your mum told me.
Oh, so my mum heard it, but you didn't?
Yeah, because I'm full of cold and I had a sleep in this morning.
Ah, you snooze, you lose.
Yeah, I always put you on as soon as I wake up in the morning, but today I didn't.
Oh, well, you see, I'm really sorry on your birthday as well. You didn't hear what I said about you either, did you?
I believe you played Brown Eyed Girl.
I played Nice Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison. I also said it's Aunty Hazel's birthday. I don't know how old she is, and I'm scared to ask her in case she says it's none of my business. I just tell you.
That's fine by me. I am 69 years old.
There you go. So you have been in business a long time.
I have.
Well, great to hear from you. I hope you have the best day. And thanks for feeding me up the other day when I went round.
Oh, you're okay. That was part of your $5 a day. Did it work?
It did work great, yeah. You even gave me food to take away.
Yeah, it was parcels from home, isn't it?
All right, well, the Tupperware that it was in and the knives and forks and stuff, they're round at my mother's.
Okay.
So next time you visit her, she's got them.
Okay, well, if you like, you can keep the knives and forks because you can put them back on the motorway on your way home.
Is that where they came from?
Well, they might have done.
It's from a motorway services. Goodness me. Jobby Checker and The Twist, which I remember doing in a band I was in New Zealand. I was the lead singer in The Misfits, and I didn't play guitar in this band. I was just a singer, and I had a cordless mic. And whenever we did that song, I used to go out into the crowd and twist with the crowd. And sometimes I'd jump up on tables and twist, and it was, a really good laugh. The Waipu Hotel, I remember, they used to cover the pool tables. And I used to jump on the pool table and twist on there. Anyway, we were booked to do a wedding in Kerry, and they had tablecloths over the tables, and I jumped up to do the twist on this table, not realising that it was just a board on some trestles, and I was on the end of it, and I flipped it up and catapulted the wedding cake against the wall. I'm Graham Mack, looking at why today is special. It's special because Ian Fleming was born on this day in 1908. He's best known for writing the James Bond books. I remember when I was about 14, I was right into the James Bond books. I read most of them. Confused the hell out of me dad. I remember sitting on the couch one day reading, and he walked in and he went, "All right, who broke the telly?"
Graham Mack,
BBC Radio Merseyside.
We've been talking about notes you've been left this morning, and Barbara in Widnes, good morning.
Good morning, Graham.
And you've got a story for me of a note that was left for you.
This happened when I was 15.
Okay.
And I'd just started work at the co-op.
Yeah.
And I was a dead shy person. I'd never had a boyfriend.
Right.
I was in the grocery section, and on the other side of the shop was the butcher's, and they sold fish as well.
Yeah.
And they used to have a delivery boy who used to come on his bike with all the fish for the shop.
Yeah.
And apparently he must have taken a fancy to me, but unbeknownst to me. And one day, I'd only been there about a week, and the butcher shouted, "Who's Barbara in here?" And I said, "Oh, it's me." And he said, "Hey, I've got a message here for you. I've just got this fish out." And he said, "There's a message in one of the fish's mouth. He wants a date with you." And I said, "Oh, I can't." I was all dead shy, and I couldn't get round to going on a date. I was too shy.
It turns out he was just as shy as you.
That's probably.
He's thought, what can I do? I can't talk to her. I'm too shy to talk to her. I know, I'll write her a note. Where can I put the note? I'll put a note in a dead fish's mouth.
Yeah, but they had a laugh in the shop anyway. So
It was definitely him. It wasn't somebody else like miles away that the fish had, when the fish was alive, it had swallowed the nose.
Yeah, I never thought it could have been, couldn't it?
Hey, Barbara, thank you very much for sharing. Thank you.
You're doing a wonderful job. You've cheered me up.
Graham Mack.
BBC Radio Merseyside.